any change on that? Or what do you see the trend?
I believe the Chinese Communist Party is the most serious threat that we in the United States face, but frankly, so does the rest of the world. Most immediately, of course, the people of China, but they've made it absolutely clear that they intend to dominate all of mankind, and they're well on their way to doing it. So I think this is a moment when clarity about the nature of this threat and a common purpose being made to defend against it is of the utmost priority.
Yeah. We have seen in China different religions were persecuted, like Falun Gong is 20 years and they are subject to the organ harvesting. And what do you think about this organ harvesting? What can we do, international community, to help stop it?
Well, I was just saying a moment ago to your colleague that I think the suggestion that the United States government open a formal investigation of what is being done to Falun Gong members, and I suspect to others as well, in the way of this barbaric practice of organ harvesting, is the absolute minimum that we can do. And once that study is in hand, it would seem to me this is another basis upon which sanctions should be imposed upon the Chinese government for not just the persecution of Falun Gong, but that element of its widespread practice of persecuting people of faith of different communities as well.
Do you think this kind of persecution against a religious person or religious beliefs is a kind of something embedded in the communist ideology, or it's kind of their nature?
The communist ideology, like all totalitarians, has no regard for human life, most especially that of people it considers to be, enemies of the state, enemies of the party, enemies of the people. And as a result, yes, it is absolutely inherent in communism that the ends justify the means, and that the people who are in opposition to the party are expendable. And frankly, so is everybody else, including members of the party. If anybody deviates from the party line, if anybody becomes, an opponent of the leader, whoever the leader may be, it's a death sentence. At worst, it's, at best, a very long prison sentence and hard labor. So it's a terrible system. The history of it is replete with horrors. But I'm fond of saying that, what's happening today, most especially to Christians around the world, is on a scale that even Mao Zedong, in his wildest imaginings, couldn't accomplish. 300 or so million Christians are being persecuted right now, along with Falun Gong, along with the Tibetans, along with the Uyghurs and so on, by the Chinese alone. And this is something that I think is simply intolerable. And consequently, one of the things that we are trying to do about it is hold the persecutors accountable. We've put together an initiative called Save the Persecuted Christians for the purpose of trying both to do that and to create real costs to them for what they're doing in the way of crimes against humanity. And one of the adjuncts to that, which we've launched in the past week, is a focused effort also to hold accountable and to create costs for those who enable the persecutors, including firms that work with them, notably lobbying firms. And we're using as an example of this phenomenon a firm called Squire Patton Boggs, whose initials SPB translate to my way of thinking, into stop persecuting believers. And so we're hoping that this campaign can give people who are looking for something they can do to send a very powerful signal to the enablers of persecuting regimes like the Chinese Communist, which Squire Patton Boggs happens to represent, along with Saudi Arabia, along with Qatar, along with Cameroon, along with the Palestinian Authority. These are all regimes that have in common horrific, systematic, state-sponsored persecution of religious believers. None of them should be represented by a prestigious law firm in the United States. And if that law firm persists in engaging in defending such persecutors, in effect in defending them, protecting them, enabling them, well, it seems to me that people like those here on Capitol Hill that are lobbied by them, that receive corporate contributions from them, that otherwise are doing business with them, should stop. So should the executive branch of the United States. And our hope is that that will be a message that will resonate with the many people in Squire Patton Boggs, for example, who I'm sure don't want to be involved in standing with the persecutors instead of standing with the persecuted. And this is a moment, with this ministerial taking place here in Washington, D.C., this is a moment to define where you stand. And I think, with luck, with God's grace, we will see some very important changes finally taking place.
Do you think that people in China have to give up this communist regime, communist ideology, in order to really have their freedom or their basic rights?
Well, of course. But they don't have a choice. They don't, at the moment, have a choice as to whether they will be misruled by the Chinese Communist Party or not. But I'm a big believer in the United States standing with the people, not with the persecutors, whether it's in China or whether it's in any of these other countries where that's being practiced. And, you know, to the extent that we can encourage, and we could in any way, without, you know, becoming forcibly engaged ourselves, to facilitate the end of the Chinese Communist Party, it would be a great boon, clearly to the people of China, but also to us as well, and the world.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.